So I'm an ex-Google digital marketing specialist. After I left my job at Google, I actually began working with small businesses on a private basis. I learned a lot of things while I was working there, but a lot of these things weren't commonplace to business owners. So I found that a lot of these small business owners actually fell into very similar traps to each other. It'd be recurring themes of mistakes that they were making or different things that they were doing that didn't quite work out. What I'm going to do is share a little bit more about some of the most cost-effective methods in which you can be advertising. You maybe lack time. You maybe don't have the time to manage everything on your own. You don't have the time to learn all of the skills that are required for these kind of things. Probably got a lack of resources. Most small businesses, most startups probably have less than 10 employees. If you've got more than 10, even still, compared to some of the bigger companies, it's going to be quite a lack of resources. It's going to be difficult to get people to man every single job. And the final thing, of course, is money. So that's the one thing that every business wants. No business has enough of it. Essentially, what this ends up with you being in is in a similar situation to this guy, where you're almost like the person that's doing every single thing within the business. You'll be the business owner, you'll be the person in charge of marketing, you'll be the accountant, you'll be the lawyer doing legal, everything around it. And what that means is that a lot of these things can become very, very difficult, and this is where people fall into traps. I wanted to kick off by showing you a few things not to do. And take my friend Leonardo DiCaprio here. He's in a position where he could afford to be throwing away money in that film. He had a lot of money and he had a lot of things that he could do and just casually throw this around. But with a lot of business owners, there's a lot of mistakes that they make straight early on. Now, I'm not sure what stage each of you are in regards to your business, and some of these things may be things that you're doing already, but just be conscious that obviously there are things that you can do to change these. The first thing that I always say to business owners is do not spend thousands and thousands of pounds on your website when you're starting out. You do not need to. Most websites that convert well, and when I say convert, what I mean by that is generate a lot of sales, generate a lot of leads. They're very simple websites. They're very easily navigable. They don't need to have loads and loads of different pages and loads of complex things going on there. Don't focus on the traditional advertising methods. A lot of people I find, and I'm not sure if it's more of an egotistical thing or more of just what they know, they'll stick to things like TV and newspaper, because it's almost like you can say to someone, well, I was on the TV last week, so I must be doing well. It's not necessarily the case. One of the things that you'll find is online methods are very measurable, very easy to track. The same thing goes with spending your budget on leaflets and flyers. Again, very difficult to track, and unless your audience is mostly over 65s, this is not going to be the best way to reach people. I'd also say that when you do actually come onto a digital platform, or even if you're not on a digital platform, even if you're offline, don't limit yourself to just that one place. You may have an absolutely fantastic following on Instagram, you may have a brilliant following on YouTube, but that isn't the only place where you're going to want to be actually advertising or marketing your brand. You want to actually spread yourself thin. You don't want to spread yourself thin, sorry. And don't try to do everything yourself. Again, very similar to the guy on the last slide, you don't want to be the person doing all the different aspects. A lot of the things that I'm going to mention within this are going to involve you perhaps outsourcing things and placing trust in other people. That's really important when you're trying to drive growth, and real growth that's scalable. So I'm going to kick off with a discussion a little bit about the website and search engine optimization. So two things. Firstly, your website is going to be your business brand. If you were a shop, a physical brick and mortar shop, your website would be equivalent to the actual shop that you're placed in. The one place where people can come and visit and actually make a purchase or give you a call or whatever that may be. So you're going to want this to be as nice and as easy for people to purchase from as possible. But at the same time, one of the things that I know is really, really important for business owners is ensuring that you've got a good search engine ranking. Search engine optimization and the search engine ranking is essentially the way that you're perceived by Google. So when someone types in, I want to buy trainers, the first business that comes up has the highest search ranking. A lot of people strive to try and achieve this overnight, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is a really long process. There's loads of moving parts you need to be doing. Once you've spent the time actually making the moves in order to get there, then you'll be able to rank highly enough. But until then, you're going to have to use other methods in order to make sure that you're being effective with that. One of the things that you can be doing in order to drive leads instantly is email marketing. Email marketing would be the next best thing in terms of driving ROI. The reason for this is absolutely simple. Email marketing is very cheap. It's very easy for you to build a list of people that you can email, get their email addresses, and then send them out over a period of time. You can get on MailChimp, you can set up a free account that will give you up to 2,000 email subscribers that you can have. That's 2,000 people you can reach out to instantly straight away today. So drip email campaigns is the way that you should be managing email campaigns. It's one thing to get the emails, it's one thing to send out emails, But the thing that people don't realize is that most people don't respond to your emails on the first one. A lot of people are not going to respond to your first email. A lot of businesses have to take a number of emails, one by one, to the same group of people in order to generate a response. Now, an example of a business that did that was one that was on Y Combinator, a startup, and they actually sent out 8 emails, all to the same group of people. And in the end, 31.5% of their responses came between email 6 and 8. If they'd only sent 5 emails, they wouldn't have got that many responses. So that just puts in perspective how many things you've got to be doing in order to get these kind of responses. I can tell you should build an email list. I can tell you how to market to this email list, but how do you build it? Well, loads of different ways. So the very first thing is something you're all doing right now. Well, you're about to do when this is done. And that's networking. So speaking to people within your circle, speaking to people who maybe have an interest in your product or your service, being able to actually get yourself out there. Another thing, giving talks. So obviously I myself am giving talks, and this is the reason why I want to try and help more and more people. It helps me build a bigger connection to different people that are working. It helps me get their emails and be able to keep in touch with them as well. You can actually set your website up in such a way that you can get people to opt in on the website itself. You could write an ebook if you've got a very masterful skill. And what's really clever about this is if you write the ebook, you can say you're going to give it out to people for free, but in order for them to get access to that, they need to give you their email address or other information. Now, the nice thing about that is you're going to be able to then use that information and actually keep in touch with them to upsell them on other products later on. Competitions, again, giving someone something of value for free, they're more inclined to give you back their email. Blogging, vlogging, podcasts, featuring in different areas on different websites is all absolutely great. And of course, having a subscription. If you write books or you write articles, you can have a subscription to certain articles that people have to provide an email for. Now, one of the things that's going to be heavy on every business's mind, and very important, is social media. And essentially, there's loads of different social media platforms. Like we said, you're limited by time, you're limited by resources, so you need to know which are going to work for you. So I'm just going to take you into a few of the ones that are going to be very important for your business, depending on what exactly it is you do. I just wanted to give you a few stats first, because some of you may not necessarily be bought into social media, and it's something I have to deal with all the time. So believe it or not, these are some of the actual statistics behind it and some of the ways in which it works. And all of these stats should have you thinking about that lady on the right-hand side of the screen. That would be for you. Yeah, so that should have you thinking money. Because at the end of the day, there's 7.5 billion people on this planet right now. 4 billion of those people have access to the internet. 80% of the people that have access to the internet are on some form of social media. So at the end of the day, whether you're giving out leaflets or flyers or advertising in a newspaper or whatever, your biggest audience is always going to be on social media. Fact. The number of social media users has actually risen by 13% year on year. So a lot of people may say that social media isn't the place to be, but it's rising all the time. The reason for that is because emerging economies are just starting to adopt it. So if you're somebody that actually sells products overseas or services overseas, especially into emerging economies, now is the time to get the ball rolling with that kind of thing. The share of web traffic across all platforms favors mobile over desktop. So when people set up their website, or they build a website, or they set up an account on Wix.com and go to actually build their own website, usually build it on your desktop, which is fine, it's normal. The thing you have to take into consideration is that when people are searching, they're most likely going to be searching for you on mobile. So if your website is not mobile optimized, they're going to see that and then say, well, do you know what, this website's no good, let me go on to the next one. As you know, people search on their web on their mobiles all the time. At work you do it, when you're out you do it, when you have Wi-Fi you do it. That's where you've got to be thinking is mobile first, and that's what I'm going to try and instill in all of you, all the way throughout the presentation as well. Facebook's still the largest platform, so a lot of people will tell you that Facebook isn't doing so great, and I'm actually just about to tell you a little bit more about why it is. But it is the biggest platform in the world. It's got 2.17 billion people. So of every single person that uses the internet, more than half of them use Facebook. No other platform is even close to that. This figure has grown 15% year on year, again due to the emerging economy state. So people that think it's on decline, that's not entirely true. The rate that it's growing is slowing relative to other platforms, but that doesn't mean it's a bad place for you to be having a business page or having a business profile. One of the things that people have found with Facebook is that they made a huge change for the way in which it runs. That means that now whenever you put up a post, you're not going to get as many likes and as many comments as you're used to unless you pay in order to boost that post out. So that's something to take into consideration, but I have got a free way in here in which you could be generating a lot of leads through Facebook on the next slide. Personally, I recommend it for absolutely everybody, no matter where you are, simply because there's so many people there. So this is one of the ways in which you should be looking to leverage Facebook in order to drive leads entirely for free. You can use Facebook groups in two different ways, right? The first one is you can actually join Facebook groups that are already set up. So if I'm a gym and I'm trying to get people that want to go to the gym to come and become a member, I join a group of people that are interested in fitness. I join a community group of people that are looking to do marathons. I join a group of people that are looking for personal trainers. Whatever it may be, a very simple Facebook search will bring up loads and loads of different groups you can join. And then I'm going to scroll through and see what people are posting in those groups and actually proactively reach out to them and say, do you know what? You look like a really good fit. Let's have a conversation. That's a lead right there, entirely for free. Very simple. The second thing you can do, and I think this is even better and takes it to another level entirely, is actually set up your own Facebook group. The great thing about that is now they're inclined to join you, and you also have that position of authority where you already know exactly what it is you're talking about. It's a much warmer sell and a much easier way to generate a lead. Again, it's going to differ industry to industry, and I know you're all going to do very different things, but that's something definitely to consider, is setting up your own group. The next platform that I would definitely say that you should all be on as well is Instagram. It reached 1 billion users as of this month. So as of August 2018, it's reached 1 billion. Still not close to Facebook, but the rate at which it's growing is fantastic. As you can see there, 25% year on year. Now, the reason so many people like Instagram is because it's very emotive. There's pictures, there's video. It's very easy to get the message out to people. But in a similar vein to Facebook, and this is simply because Instagram is actually owned by Facebook, they changed the algorithm again. At the end of the day, these businesses are going to want to make money, right? So they're going to make it more and more challenging for you to be able to get results for free. So even though I'd recommend it for everyone, the way in which I'm going to recommend you use it is actually going to lead to you parting with some money, but will lead to very good results. So who's familiar with that lady on the left-hand side of the screen? It's the right. It's my left, so it goes right. Okay, cool. So she's Kim Kardashian. And I'm not going to ask you to reach out to Kim Kardashian because I highly, highly doubt that any of you are going to be able to get a response. And if you do, please tell me how you did it. So that would be absolutely great. One of the things that she advertised for was when she was pregnant, this is a particular product that helped her through her pregnancy. And she actually put up a post, very simple, with her holding the product and her describing some of the ways in which it worked. And as you can see there, that got hundreds of thousands of likes. Hundreds of thousands of people that didn't know about that product before now know exactly how that product works. Great, right? Wish we could have Kim Kardashian on our team. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that, but what you can do as a small business with a smaller budget is work with what's known as micro-influencers. Now, a micro-influencer is someone who maybe doesn't have the following of Kim Kardashian, but someone who's very well defined, who's got a very well defined niche, works very, very well in your industry, and is very, very good at being able to get engagement. So what I mean by engagement is lots of likes, lots of comments, not just followers. The reason being, if they're getting lots of likes and lots of comments, people are actually actively responding to their content. So if you're going to pay someone to advertise on your behalf, you want people to be responsive to it. So what you should all do is actually go make a list of people and actually search. It may take some time to search, but there are tools online that you can use to help you with the search. Search for people that potentially you may want to work with, make a list of them, and then actually start reaching out to them proactively. The one thing I'm going to beg you please to not do is ask them to do it for free. This is their source of income. If your boss asked you to come to work in order to do your job and you don't get paid for it, what would you say? So do reach out to them, negotiate price, try and reach something that's manageable for you both, but don't ask them to do it for free. It will get you a bad name in the industry. You don't want that. The final thing that I want to discuss with social media terms is LinkedIn. So this is only going to be specific to some of you, but the reason I want to discuss it is actually because even though there's only 250 million active users, which is a lot less than Instagram, 44% of those users actually earn more than $75,000. Now obviously we're in the UK, so in UK terms, right now today that's about £58,000. But again, they're people that have money. So what you need to actually think is, if I want to service a product or market a product, do I want to go where people have money? Yes. So LinkedIn is very beneficial for those kind of people, but you do want to take the conscious note that only 13% of them are millennials. Now, a lot of businesses target millennials because obviously that's one of the biggest bases for social media and so on and so forth. LinkedIn isn't the case. So what you really want to be doing with LinkedIn is using it when you're targeting more professionals. If I was to give you a recommendation, I would say when you're actually working with B2B businesses. So if you're a B2B business, LinkedIn is going to be such a fantastic way in order for you to grow. And I'm going to show you exactly how it will work. LinkedIn has this wonderful tool called Sales Navigator. And for those of you that don't know what LinkedIn is, it's essentially a networking platform where your own profile is pretty much your CV, but placed online. But you can then reach out to anybody else, anywhere, pretty much. Now, the great thing that it has and the great sort of targeting that it has is the fact that it knows so much about people's experience, work history, CV, everything that they've done. You're able to actually filter things down as narrowly as if I wanted to target every single CEO of a travel agency in Manchester with more than 10 years of experience, I can do that very simply. But in order to do that, you need to access the Sales Navigator tool, which is not free. They give you a 1 month trial for free, but then after that, you actually have to start paying for the service. It's not an extensive amount, and if you're a B2B business, it's worth the outlay because you're going to get so many leads through this. The very simple tactic would be set up one of these accounts, set up a LinkedIn account, make your profile professional, make it clear what you do, and then actually build a list of all the different CEOs, travel agencies in Manchester or whatever it is you want to reach out to. Connect with them on LinkedIn, and when you connect, you can send a message to them very briefly, just introducing yourself, saying something like, "Hi, I'm Tor. I know a lot about digital strategy. Let's have a chat." They'll connect back with you, and then on the back of that, you can use that as a lead to go on and perhaps set up a call or even just deliver some value. Whichever different way in which you want it to work, I think for B2B businesses, this is the best way in which I've seen things work that's very straightforward and very cheap, to be completely honest. In terms of other social platforms, there's quite a few different ones. So you've got Snapchat, you've got YouTube, you've got Twitter, you've got Pinterest. They all have very different ways in which they would work. So Snapchat, one of the things that's important here is that 77% of the users are millennials. So they're falling into that 18 to 34-year-old bracket. So if you're focused on the millennial audience, Snapchat's a good place to go. Not as popular as it once was, but at the same time, think about it in terms of where your customer is. Twitter, 93% of the people that use Twitter say they would make a purchase on the platform. So, or not purchase on the platform, but a purchase from someone they follow on the platform. So again, very effective way in order to be advertising. Personally, I think Twitter, everyone should be on there because again, around 90% of people check Twitter for the news. And when you're checking for the news, it's something people are going to do daily, right? So they're always going to be active on there. Pinterest, this is a bit of a different one. So essentially, it's a social network where if you have something that's of interest to people, like say artwork, for example, you can post a picture of it, and it's known as pinning, and then the more popular ones get shown at the top of someone's feed. Now again, 93% of people say that if they'd seen something pinned, they may be interested in actually purchasing it. So again, it's good to be in if you're in the arts and crafts, foods, hobbies, wellness industries, those kind of things. And YouTube, this is one that so many small businesses overlook, and it really frustrates me. Only 9% of small businesses are on YouTube right now, but YouTube reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than any American TV network, any of them. So when you're saying as a small business you want to advertise on TV, but you don't want to advertise on YouTube, it doesn't make sense, quite simply put. With YouTube, everything's measurable as well. And obviously you can work on building a bit of a profile on there and building up a following too, which is great. Pay-per-click advertising is one of the best ways in which you're going to be able to actually drive a return on investment if you know how to do it right. Most people, when I say pay-per-click advertising, they get a little bit nervous and they start to think, do you know what, I've tried this before, it hasn't worked, or I don't know about paying money for something I don't understand. But essentially, what I want everyone to be able to do in the end of things is be able to be like my friend from Futurama here, and actually go into Google and Facebook and the big platforms and saying, do you know what, I want to put more money into this because it is such a good way in which we can actually make it work. So I'm going to kick off with Google Ads. As you know, obviously I came from the Google background, but this experience is mostly from working outside of that and working with other businesses. Whenever someone searches something in Google, you can pay and bid against a bunch of competitors to be at the top. So if I'm a shoemaker, or say I make trainers and sell trainers, and all the rest of you in the room also sell trainers, when somebody searches the word trainer into Google, I may want to pay £1 to be at the top so that someone can see me straight away. But then you may pay £1 and 1p to be even higher up than me, and you may pay £1.50 to be even higher than that. So it works in sort of an auction way and in a bidding war. And essentially what you don't want to do is get tied into a bidding war, and that's when you start to really lose money. So I'll come on to a few different ways in which you can use Google, but one of the things just before I do that is just to note, firstly, a lot of people wanted to use Bing over Google in recent times because it's cheaper. The reason for that is because not as many people are actually searching on there. So I saw you about to take notes there, and then you were like, actually. So it's a catch-22. It's one of those things where the reason it's competitive is because it works. So you've got to look at it that way. Google works and drives results for people. That's why so many people want it. You want to be present there, you want to be active there in order to get those results. There's a few different ways in which you can use Google. First of all, you can actually figure out how many people are searching particular keywords within Google. This is great. So I was working with a hair care company some time ago, and essentially what they wanted to do was figure out how many people are actually searching for our product in the UK on a monthly basis. Very simple. You can search in Google a list of different keywords that people may type in related to hair care. By the way, I'm no hair care expert, so I don't know if these are the relevant words, but I hope they are. And you can see exactly how many people were searching on that. To take it one step further, and this is with a student accommodation company, we were able to actually do Google Trends, which again is an entirely free tool, where you can search online the trending topics over time. So if someone searched the word student accommodation, Google has a record of that over time, and it can tell you exactly where there were peaks for that particular search term. As you can see here listed, around about every August, there'll be a peak in people looking for student accommodation. Obvious reason is that's when everyone gets their A-level results. So on the back of that, they want to start searching for these kind of things. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to do when you're setting up a Google account for advertising is figure out which keywords are going to be best for you. And as I said, you don't want to end up in a bidding war with every single other person in the room. So if we're all selling trainers, we don't all want to be bidding on trainers, because then trainers is going to be so expensive to bid on. Simple maths. The best way in which you can work things around is by actually making your keywords a little bit longer. And this graph explains it really clearly. So when you've got keywords that are very generic, like trainers, there's going to be a very high competition, which means it's going to be very costly for you. But there's going to be so many people competing that it's going to be a very low chance of you actually making a sale. When you extend that keyword out to say something like red trainers sold in South London, now you've got that free market where people aren't bidding as much. It's going to be cheaper. Plus, the person searching is going to be a lot more relevant because of what they've typed in. So now that someone's typed in something a lot more relevant for you, that's going to be great, because what that means is they're more likely to purchase than the person that would have put the generic thing in the first place. Now, very quickly, 5 other ways to win. Like I said, don't always compete with everybody to be number one. Actually, there was a survey conducted recently that found that competing to be between number 1 and number 2 doesn't make that huge a difference in terms of the number of sales you're going to get. But in terms of the cost for you, it can obviously work out better. But you want to run a campaign for around 14 days and measure where you've been most successful. Is it a number 1 or number 2? And then actually bid according to that. Don't just assume I need to be number 1 on Google all the time in order to get leads. Again, focus on mobile first. So what Google allows you to do that's absolutely great with this advertising platform is you can set a different bid for someone searching on mobile to someone searching on the computer. So let's imagine, for example, that I'm selling trainers again, and I found that every single person on desktop is actually bidding in pounds. Well, I can actually bid 80p on mobile, and more people are searching on mobile, so it's a no-brainer for me to actually advertise over there. The reason mobile usually works out cheaper is just because not a lot of people have realized what I've just said, that mobile has more people searching on it. So they think, let's just stick to desktop and that'll work. Actually, mobile will work out cheaper in most occasions. You want to use remarketing lists. And essentially what remarketing lists are is every single person that visits your website, Google's able to track them. When they leave your website, you're able to advertise to them wherever they go on the internet. So if they go somewhere else, you can show them an image of your product. You may have seen it before. Sometimes you looked at something online, like a pair of shoes or a bag or whatever, and it's been shown up to you like a week later. Someone's done that exact trick to you. So 2 different ways you can do it. You can either do it when people have left your website and you can post a picture of them somewhere, or alternatively, when they're searching again for a similar product, you can actually bid again on them to be a little bit higher up than you were before. Reason being is they're going to be more interested this time because maybe last time you just couldn't purchase because they didn't have the money, or maybe last time they were just doing a bit of a browse, now they've come back to do the real deal. One other thing is, obviously, as I said earlier, YouTube needs to be in a strategy, in my opinion. It's just so cheap for you to be able to advertise to such a wide range of people. It's such a good way to get brand awareness. Personally, in my experience, you're not going to get many leads through YouTube, But leads is only 50% of the battle. You also want to grow by getting brand awareness out there. YouTube is such a quick, easy way to go, and video is so popular right now that it's going to be very, very important. So any of you that want to try this at home, be confident, give it a go. I would recommend you start out with around about £150 to £300 a month. Google will take a daily budget, so that will leave you somewhere between £5 to £10 a day to work with and play with. After 14 days, you're then going to optimize and figure out where best to allocate your money and drive it forwards. Now, Facebook ads, this is the other side of things. And Facebook basically enables you to show ads to people based on their interests, their behavior, their age, their gender. You can group everything based on that because Facebook has all of that information. Now, the great thing about this particular type of targeting is that it's very, very narrow and very, very targeted. But one of the things to remember with Facebook is it's a bit different to Google because it's not people that are intending to buy. You're showing ads to people that are just browsing casually. You're trying to drag them onto your website. So you want to make sure these ads are as emotive and as gripping as possible. But I would always look at Facebook as something that's going to be more focused to like service-based businesses that maybe have longer buying cycles where you need to actually show people ads over time. Often you won't get results from Facebook straight away like you would with Google, but it's good to have both in the strategy because they both hit different parts of people depending on where they are in terms of purchasing. Now, one of the nice things you can do with Facebook before you even actually spend any money with them is set up Facebook Ads Manager. Now, what that will enable you to do is figure out the audience insights. And audience insights are basically a breakdown of all the different people across Facebook globally, or in the United Kingdom, or in your local neighborhood, wherever you want to actually filter it down to, who are interested in a particular thing. So I conducted one for fitness industry to figure out how many people are interested in fitness and what the demographic looks like. Looking at Facebook, 62% of women are the people that are interested in fitness. So you know straight away that actually if I'm a fitness brand, maybe if I'm advertising on Facebook, I need to gear my content more towards women because that's where more of the people actually have an interest. Taking it one step further, you can actually see the different page likes that people have as well. So again, for the fitness industry, it says that for the majority of people that are interested in fitness, they also are interested in these things. That may be muscle food, it may be different things. Of course, because a lot of the affinity was women, some of the things that you're seeing on there may also be things that women are interested in as opposed to fitness related. You'll be able to see that I've actually noted down a couple there that would be good in terms of fitness. So what you do after this is you take this information away and say, I want to set up a Facebook ad targeting everyone who's interested in muscle food and Tough Mudder UK. I want to set it to a particular location based on where my service is provided, and I want to pay this much to get the ad out to those kind of people. These are the people with the most relevancy, and Facebook's already told us that based on the audiences. And then what you're going to do is build something known as a Facebook ad funnel. So what service-based businesses can do really, really well is they can actually offer someone something entirely for free or at a discounted rate, just like the ad that you're seeing on the side here, where you basically say to someone, come on, have a free trial of our service. And then once you actually come on, we're going to take some information about you, maybe your email address, maybe your number, it may be anything. It's all part of the journey. Once you've taken that information, you're then going to be able to try and upsell that person onto something. But because they would have had a free trial or free usage of your service or a taster of your service, they're going to be a lot warmer than somebody who hasn't done yet. So your benefit here is that you've got a really good opportunity to be able to actually grow, upsell, but on warm leads as opposed to doing completely cold emails or cold calls or something like that. So again, 5 different ways in which you can win on Facebook. Firstly, pay to boost your posts that are doing well. So if you posted something online and it's getting a lot of likes, a lot of comments, you know people are interested in this, it's going quite well. Pay to actually boost that out to even more people. Share it with more people and a wider audience. Run a campaign, an advertising campaign, to target friends of people who follow your page. So if you've already got a Facebook page, it's got a list of all the people that follow you, but then Facebook knows all the people that are friends with them. So you can actually set up a campaign quite simply to target the friends of your followers, because they're most likely going to be the people that are interested in your product, because they're most likely going to have similar characteristics to people who already follow you. Build a campaign for your current customers as well. So once you've built out that email list in all the different ways you described earlier, what you may want to actually do is build out a campaign to target people in your email list, which you can do. You can upload your email list straight to Facebook. And then on the back of that, you can say to them, well, we've got new products coming out, or we want to upsell you onto something completely new. Let's set up a campaign for that. On Facebook, you should always look to do video first, because again, video has much better engagement than just images, much better engagement than just text. Always try to put video first, and that's going to be your best bet for getting good engagement and good leads. And then finally, use retargeting. Similar thing to what I mentioned with Google, with remarketing. It's just known as retargeting on Facebook. Again, works the same way. If someone's been to your site, you can ring them back. Facebook's cheaper than Google, so if you're going to try it at home again, I would say start with £100 to £200. And by the way, if you've got more budget than that, feel free to throw as much money as you're comfortable with. But for a small business that's trying to manage on the budget, start with £100 to £200 and then work your way up from there.